The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 8th day of July, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Michaela Ian, as well as Leanna Lambert, who will be with us in a bit, basically to bring you the latest in her news break. So stick around for that. Some important stuff to go over. Kales, how are you this morning?
It's been a little rough morning. The thing is, like, I will never, even though I've lived in Bermuda, well, aside from 10 years, I'll never get used to waking up and running out of water. I will never.
That's such a Bermudian thing in terms of context, U.S. versus Bermuda, isn't it?
I know, and I'm just like, oh my God. All right, it's fine. We'll troubleshoot. We'll get it. We'll get it sorted out. But
that's taking me back to when my nana would yell at me because I would be in the shower longer than 5 minutes. She would say, "Boy, turn that water off, put the soap on your body, and then turn the water back on." And funny how we're talking about this, and we're talking about sustainable food today. And our
I'm telling you. There you go. How are you today?
I'm okay, Kales. I'm good. And you know what? I'll say this much too: how you're feeling is rough morning. The great thing about having a rough morning is that you have the entire day to go, so a lot of time to make it up. So hopefully we can do that. And again, my day was okay. My jogs are getting slower. It's hot out there, but I'm happy to be here with you and happy to be here with the audience. And good morning to everyone, and thanks to all of you for making us a part of your daily routine. Another good one today. I know I say that every day, but they truly are good conversations.
Yes.
Faria of the Agra Living Institute back on the show to discuss sustainable living. These are extremely important conversations because if we can't feed ourselves, who will? The Daily Play is a name that plays, so Michaela is guessing a geography. She's guessing the answer to a geography question, folks. So this should be good. How are you feeling about your chances today, Kales?
Listen, I don't think I've not gotten a geography question right. I mean, wrong. Sorry. I don't think I've gotten one wrong.
Yeah, you've done pretty well.
Very good in my chances.
Yeah, I think you should be very confident. I think you've done very well. We have a lot to talk about. There's a lot. First off, there was a football game yesterday in the European semifinals, right? And
yes.
England won against Denmark. England. I'm not trying to upset the English folks who tune in, but England were victorious, and they will play Italy. So basically, it's the battle of tea and biscuits and pizza on Sunday. And
biscuits and pizza. I thought you were gonna say like fish and chips and pizza.
Oh well,
or like
fish and chip. Gee, I don't know what they
like
biscuits. What else? I mean, pudding or something. Prawn sandwich. I don't know.
The battle of curry and pasta.
Yeah, something.
Ice lollies and gelato.
Now you're going to, a brother ain't that. I don't understand that much of it. I'm on the sports side, but
no, yeah. I'm looking forward to that game. I'm like, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a good one.
Italy will be expected to win, but obviously
England's played a lot better, so that should be interesting.
England have a great chance, home crowd as well, so I think they have a great chance. So congratulations to all those who tune into this show who are English or English supporters. Congratulations on making the first final since 1966. So that's within so many people's lifetimes. Elizabeth says Italy better win. Well, here's the thing. It's coming home, right? That's their song, right? And the Danish goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel's like got asked by the media, how do you feel about stopping It's Coming Home? It's like, it's coming home. Have they ever won it? And they haven't won the Euros. They won the World Cup in 1966. But
listen, I feel like as Bermudians, unless you have a tie to another European country, like England is really the only country that we have a tie to, unless you're Portuguese or whatever. So like, go England. Like, that's how I feel.
It's hard for me. It's like my football team internationally, club team would be Manchester United. But I've never ever, weirdly enough, I've never been, when it comes to World Cups, I've never been one. Most Bermudians growing up were for Brazil. I've never had a team. And people would ask me, well, who's your team? I'm like, Bermuda. And I'm like laughing. I'm just like, no, I've never honestly picked up. And I love football. Like anybody will tell you, I watch every game, whatnot. But I'm one of those guys that's rare. Like, I just want to see the best team win. The only team I did not want to see win, like, was Spain, because although they played this fancy pass football, it was always boring to me. So I've rooted for almost every team. Like, I want the underdog to win most of the time. So yes, I was probably rooting for Denmark, and yes, I'll probably root for England versus Italy, because I think Italy is kind of seen as the favorite because they had a harder path to get to the final. And overall, the groups they played much better attacking football. But England have played some decent football, despite what I would say is the bad coaching.
Yeah, I think that England is going to have to step it up a little bit. Like, let's remember, I shouldn't say let's remember, let's not forget there was an own goal and there was a penalty that, people are saying shouldn't have been a penalty. So it's not a case of they thrashed Denmark, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna have a good time. Maybe I'll make some fish and chips. Maybe I'll pull it back to my Newcastle days and get fully in the vibe. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Newcastle. She was a Geordie. I think that's what they call them up there.
I was a Geordie. Yes, I used to go to St. James Park. Good times.
There we go. So look, believe it or not, we're not going to just talk about football this morning, folks. I know
why not
excited, but we definitely wanted to switch gears, and this is a conversation that many Bermudians might be interested in. Iceland, according to NPR.org, Iceland finds major success moving to shorter work week. Now, if you read the headline, you're thinking, oh, I can work 4 days instead of 5, or you might be saying I can work 3 instead of 5, whatnot. But basically, there was a study done about 20. Now, keep in mind, I always find it interesting. When I was in graduate school, right? These guys from Taiwan, was such a small country. And their small was relative. It was compared to China, right? I'm like, you got millions of people. I mean, I come from a place where it's like 60,000 plus. What are you talking about, small country? Now, in this, it says now research out of Iceland has found that working fewer hours for the same pay, that's improving the well-being among workers. But it goes on to say, granted, Iceland is tiny. Its entire workforce amounts to about 200,000 people.
I mean, tiny for Europe, let's be real.
Again,
it is a considerably smaller country out of the European countries.
It's relative. And that's my point. It is relative. Like, I think when we look at it, like it in a Bermuda context, they can say, well, it's too small to do that, right? Because I don't know, but I want to say this: $2,500 worker. I'm saying $2,500. 2,500 workers, basically were a part of this the successful trials. Right, it was 2 successful trials that the report called a major success. The trials took place from 2015 to 2019, and workers went from a 40-hour work week to 35 to 36. Now I'll stop there, Kills. And here's the question for the audience: do you believe that a shorter work week is in the best interest of your society and your economy? Not you personally first. I want to ask, do you think it's in the best interest of your community, your society, and your economy? When we remove ourselves, it's like,
it's a little different. I mean, for me, I just think of it from an efficiency point of view. And now I'm not trying to sit here and throw stones or whatever. But you look at an organization like government, and for years, people have always talked about how government workers, you get a job in government, you can sit there for life. You never really have to do anything. You just have to show up, come on time, pretty much that's it, right? So when you look at organizations like that and you look at the levels of productivity and efficiency, I mean, for me, I know I do my best work between 9 and say 1. So between those hours, I'm like banging it all out. I'm getting everything that I need to get done because I know that my energy is going to go like that after lunchtime. I mean, of course, if I need to do things, then sure. But that's just how I work. I like to get everything done when my energy is like super high because I know that that's going to be my best work. So that's honestly how I prefer to work. So like if I can get all my work done between those hours, or just say Monday through Thursday, and I could be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, absolutely. And I will ensure that I get everything done.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Kales. Like from a perspective of if it's in the best interest of society, community, and the economy. I think it's weird because obviously smaller companies cannot do what bigger companies can. And when I say small, a company with less than 10 people versus a company with more than 20.
I agree.
That's where I say it could be challenging. Now, do you make laws for different levels of company? That's something that can be considered. But from a personal standpoint, I think that work should no longer be about time. It should be about productivity. I've been that kind of person. Like some people may look at us and think, oh, they're just on air for 1 hour, right? What they don't realize is the amount of work that goes on when we're not on air. Post-production, pre-production, right? The conversations we have to even come up with the idea that we're going to address this, the research we have to do on each topic to understand what levels we can speak about or perspectives we can speak about it from. So I believe in productivity over everything. And I think a shorter work week should be something that can be tested. It can benefit, when I think about it, Michaela, I'm going to use you as an example. You're a mother with children, one much younger, and I'm thinking of the parents, right? Giving them more time with their children. Because I've said it before. Who do we never ever think about who thought it was a great idea to have people working a 9 to 5? Like, where did the idea of those hours come from?
Yeah. And that's the thing about it. Like, I know a lot of people who are in the online business space who employ people. So they have teams, and many of them only work Monday through Thursday. Like their entire team, whether they have 3 employees, 5, 10, whatever, they don't work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you email them on the Friday, you get a message. Our team does not work on Fridays. We will respond to you on Monday. And the story done, because they know that productivity levels are much higher, A, when you're flexible with people, and B, when you're not necessarily worrying about 9 to 5. It's like, here's what you need to do. Let's go get this done. As long as you get this done, you're good to go.
Yeah. No, I agree. Look, and I think you and I, you had to set that straight early. Like we have to put those in place because at the end of the day, when I think of work, I think of family. And this is whether you have children or not. Like it's just at the end of the day, people need their time. And let's go to some comments. Sam Cat Play said she's mixed on this. Michelle White says, in general, yes, but give a little, we want more, right? We'll want more. Rachel Couture, Kales.
I think the goal should be to hit targets, not to be busy for 40 hours a week. Agree, because busy doesn't equal productive.
Yeah. There was a minister, a government minister. I think it was people talking about a government minister that was resigned or asked to stand down last year. And people would say, oh, he's working 18-hour days. And I was like, you get no sympathy from me for working a long time, because there's a couple things. One, you're working long days because you're unable to produce within the time you're supposed to, or you probably need assistance and you're too much of a control freak to bring someone on. But at the end of the day, I used to think it too. Like we were brought up to think this, folks. We were brought up to believe that we should have 2 jobs, we should work long hours. No. We're living in a different era. Right now, your well-being, mental, emotional, like I do not believe in the traditional 40-hour work week and you should be willing to give your time to a company. Look, as a business owner, I do understand that we need people who believe in the company and what they're doing and so on. I want that, but I'm interested in productivity first and the well-being of that person second.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that it's a
All right, let me
massive,
switch that around. The well-being of the person first, and the productivity second. Sorry, I got that all mixed up.
because it's all a mindset thing, right? It's a
Mhm.
mindset shift that has to take place, because I know people who work in their business for maybe 5 days, I mean,
Mhm.
5 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, that's it. And these people pull in $30,000 a month. You know what I mean? So, no, they're not bogged down by busy work. They figured out how to be productive as can be, how to serve the people who their business serves at the highest level and bring in as much money while working as little as possible. So, I agree. I am not interested in, oh, I work 18-hour days.
Mhm.
Good
Mhm.
for you.
Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah.
Why are you working 18-hour days? Like,
And folks, I believe I shared the article. The article might be shared on the Daily Hour Facebook page, but that we're referencing in Iceland. Apparently, it's been a success. The trials for a shorter work week. Carla John Kills.
a shorter work week is a benefit to workers. It would be interesting to see how businesses push back. Agree. Well, I think the pandemic showed us that a lot
Mhm.
of the times these bosses just want to micromanage you.
Yeah. It's about control in some instances.
Yeah.
And Carla, appreciate it because I believe she has an HR background. So definitely appreciate it. Philip Trutt, who said working 40 hours was good for the economy? Well, there we go, Phil. There we go. That's why I go back to the question. Like, I mean, who said that 9 to 5 should be the standard? Who said, like,
Yeah.
think about it. Who said spending more time at a job than with your family is in the best interest? I understand companies want to make money and need to make money. But I mean, at the expense of what? Philip Chad also goes on to say, if it was about the number of hours, we shouldn't have vacations or holidays. Well, if they had their way, we wouldn't. But unions, I believe, play a big role in that field. We could absolutely manage with 35 hours work weeks, small businesses included. Well, I think, and in a Bermuda context, folks, are we having these conversations with our MPs? Are we having these conversations? Like, because remember, some things don't come to people's attention unless we have the conversation. That's why when Michaela and I shoot off ideas, what we are discussing tomorrow, let me tell you what we do. Check LinkedIn, what's trending, maybe check Twitter, but we check Forbes or Inc.com because we're trying to bring conversations that we're not having in other spaces in Bermuda. This
Yeah.
is a conversation that we hope can lead to something because look, people are drained.
Yeah. People are drained, absolutely. And I think that we need to get away from this time for money thing, because time for money is never sustainable. It just isn't. You know what I mean? So when you look at, I have to be at work at 9 o'clock and I'm going to leave at 5 o'clock, and this is what I get paid for this.
Mhm.
But then you're expected to, answer emails in the evening, or you're expected to do a little work on the weekend. That's not in my 9 to 5. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's shifting the mindset from what we think is supposed to be, and that we have to work hard for money, because you don't have to work hard for money. Not to mention, like you referenced, everyone who works two jobs, in my opinion, in my experience, they're never rich. Like, they're
Yeah,
never wealthy. So that
yeah,
debunks that whole myth of
yeah,
working more is
yeah,
going to be better, because it's not. Like, you're
yeah.
not going to become rich by working more.
No, I've seen many people literally kill themselves working two
Yeah,
jobs, tired eyes, like just, yeah, man, I'm about to pay my mortgage, this and that. We should not have to live like that just to be able to have what
not
others
worth it.
do by literally working shorter work weeks or when they want. Let's go through a few more conversations before we get to Liana for the news break. Talent Clark and Carla John Kills.
Corporations have seen that the level of business does not decrease, and some have taken the steps to make the change. We were told that many jobs couldn't be done remotely, so a shorter work week is possible if businesses are motivated. Agree.
Indeed. Sean Smith says, are talking about operational hours or employees working hours. Well, there's the two different things. We're talking about employees working hours. Operational hours. Well, again, if let's say obviously some operation hours. Let's say a store, customer service driven, right? It could be a grocery store. Their hours don't have to change if employee productivity. You just have to work shift work. Now, this is something we haven't talked about, but we probably will on an extended broadcast, another broadcast. But I go to Target sometimes. There's 20 something registers, and none of them are open. Only the checkout, like what self checkout lines, right? Now, I actually said to a business in Bermuda, I was like, Bermudian businesses are actually doing a service to the community by still having cashiers. And no one talks about it because it's expected. But I want to tell Bermudians when it comes to operational stuff, Do not be surprised if that comes down the line, because right now, no one wants to say it. But cashier jobs, if you're lucky enough to have one in Bermuda, because that was even seen as a part-time job for a lot of people for years.
Yeah.
But those jobs are currently a service to the community. And no, but we're not having these conversations. And again, this is another conversation we need to have in our community. So when that day comes, we're very well prepared. So appreciate that, Sean Smith. Sam Cat Place. I like the work from home concept with flexible days in and out of office. That, in my opinion, can yield more productivity. Well, I spoke to one of my bosses the other day, and I said, what helps with productivity in terms of me being home is the commute. Like my commute to work was 40 minutes. You're talking 40 miles each day. That's a Bermuda and a half almost, right? And so that takes away from the ability to just jump on computer and get things done. So I definitely agree. Overall, yes or no, do you think that Bermuda should be looking at some legislation or policy to get businesses to look at doing something in regards to introducing a shorter work week? What do you think? Should the government of Bermuda consider getting involved in putting into place a shorter work week? Yes or no, before we go to the news break? What are your thoughts, Kales?
I believe that we should be doing whatever is in the best interest of people. I think with this pandemic, we've shown that, if I need to go and pick up my child at school at 3:30, that shouldn't be a problem. I've heard of employers threatening to let staff go because they have to go pick up the child because there's no more daycare or no more camps. That's unacceptable to me. If the person is showing up and they're supposed to show up and doing the thing, what's the issue?
Yeah, indeed. Marquita Lee says, yes, does think government should get involved. Charles H. Jefferson II says the key word is balance. Organizations should develop a culture where there is a good work-life balance. Talent TJ Clark, why not? But also will impact wage workers a lesser pay. Carla John says Bermuda needs to get serious about living wage legislation than shorter work weeks. Well, on that note, as we head to Liana for the news, we do have Cordell Riley coming on to talk about the living wage this month. So you don't want to miss that. You do not want to miss that. To answer this question, again, we shared the link for what we were discussing. Monica Dunstan says shorter work week mean a smaller paycheck. No, the pay remained the same. So this is a deeper conversation. Obviously, we don't have the time. We have Chris Faria, Chris Faria from the Agra Living Institute coming up. This is another important conversation about sustainability. But for this time, we're going to turn it over to Leanna for the news break, and we'll be back after the commercial break with our guest for the day.
Thanks, Jamala, Michaela, and good morning to all of those of you who are tuned in with us both locally and abroad. I hope everyone is having a great start to their day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break. So here's what's going on in today's top stories. Premier David Burt has extended his condolences to the people of Haiti following the assassination of the nation's president, Jovenel Moïse. The president was killed after gunmen stormed his private home around 1 a.m. in the Haiti capital of Port-au-Prince yesterday. His wife, Martine, was injured in the attack and is being evacuated to a hospital in Miami for treatment. The premier said, quote, "We continue to hope for the peace and stability in Haiti. We also pray for the safety of our brothers and sisters throughout the country during this difficult time," end quote. He said Haiti is a proud nation steeped in rich history, with it being the oldest Black republic in the world and a fellow member of CARICOM alongside Bermuda. He said, quote, "The government and people of Bermuda are here to support the people of Haiti in any way that we can," end quote. Now, the gunmen are described as mercenaries who spoke Spanish and presented themselves as Drug and Enforcement Administration agents. The country's acting Prime Minister Claude Joseph has declared a state of emergency in the country. In other news, a huge container ship that ran aground in the Suez Canal in March has finally resumed its journey after the vessel's owners reached an agreement with authorities to settle a financial dispute. The MV Ever Given ship was traveling north through the Suez Canal en route to Rotterdam, Netherlands, when it ran aground on March 23rd after becoming wedged across a southern section of the waterway for nearly a week, disrupting global trade. The vessel and its crew are now traveling northward through the Suez Canal, having departed Great Bitter Lake. The ship is 400 meters long and has a gross weight of 200,000 tons. Now, the vessel will stop at Port Said, Egypt, where further precautionary hull inspections will take place, including a dive survey. Now, once completed, the Ever Given will depart Egypt bound for the next port of call, where the cargo on board will be discharged. It was held by the SCA under court order while the authorities sought compensation from the ship's Japanese owners and its insurers. However, in a press statement, they said, quote, "We regret the impact that the voyage delay has had on those with cargo stuck on board," end quote. The responsibility for approving large group exemptions is now under the Ministry of Youth, Culture, and Sport, and the ministry said it has received so far 32 applications since the responsibility was transferred to them. Now, speaking in the Senate yesterday, Dr. Ernest Peets said that the maximum number of people allowed to gather is still 50 persons. Requests for group gatherings larger than 50 people must be submitted through the online application form, which can be found on the gov.bm coronavirus web pages under forms. So far, like we said, the ministry has received 32 applications since taking on the responsibility and says that they are processing them without delay. And there will be an interruption to the bus service this Friday from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. A spokesperson for the Department of Public Transportation said the interruption will facilitate a meeting of DPT staff regarding the new fleet of electric buses. The meeting is expected to cover the fall 2021 bus services and staff work rosters. The DPT apologizes for any inconvenience caused. For today's weather, we have a high near 83 and a low near 76 degrees. We'll see sunny breaks with a couple of showers in the area. Warm and humid southwesterly flow continues to persist as Bermuda lies between high pressure to the east and a frontal boundary to our near northwest. But in time, the front will fizzle out and the high becomes the dominant feature. Therefore, the trend is for improving skies and decreasing shower chances towards the weekend. That's all for our daily hour news break. Let's head back to Jamel and Michaela in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Lee. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with Chris Faria from the Agra Living Institute.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors, and not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Soltis bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
We're spotlighting our old friends Woodstock Farms, who started up 50 years ago in the belief that we need more trustworthy natural food sources. Starting with one product, their line, mostly certified organic, is now more than 250 strong in 10 categories. This month we're featuring accoutrements of the barbecue, for us the pinnacle of home cuisine and one of the few forms of restorative recreation now within our reach. Try Woodstock Organic Sweet Relish, Tomato Ketchup, Baby Kosher Dill Pickles, Sauerkraut, and Hickory and Original Barbecue Sauce. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Welcome back to the Big Show. Michaela and I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can stream this and many other locally produced shows. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day, Chris Faria. He is from the Agra Living Institute. And I enjoyed Chris last time, and I'm sure we're going to enjoy him again today. Folks, don't forget, if you have any questions or comments for Chris, this is an important conversation, and I'm going to be honest, it's not common for myself and many others who watched before to understand how to grow our own food and what sustainable living includes. So please don't be shy if you have questions. We'll do our best to get as many as possible. And Chris, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic and super pumped to be on the show with you guys this morning.
Hey, Chris. I'm good. How are you? So for those who don't know, Chris and I just did cohort 3 of Ignite, and we're like in a mastermind together.
Nice.
Yeah. Changing the mindset.
I love it. I'm here with 2 important people, folks, if you haven't realized that already. But Chris, for those who didn't get to watch you last time on this show, just give a quick recap of who you are and what your organization does. And I want you to really speak to, because last time I remember people reaching out after it. And I found it interesting. Some people, even after yesterday's show, they say, hey, when yesterday's show is up, can you let me know? And I'm like, the shows are up immediately. Like you can, so I just send them the link. But for those who may not have seen the episode, just give them some insight as to who you are and what your organization does.
Cool. So my name is Chris Faria, and I'm the founder of the Agra Living Institute, and we focus on sustainable farming education. So right now we offer workshops in an introduction to our method. So these workshops, you come for 6 hours and you get the foundation of being able to grow all your own food at home sustainably. And we also do garden support consultations. So I can come to your garden and I give you advice, and I create a 6-month plan that you follow to create food abundance in your garden. We do this, and our education workshops are out of the kitchen garden in the botanical gardens, which is next to Masterworks. So I invite everybody to come and visit us there in the garden. We're not there all the time, especially during the summer heat, but the garden's open. I invite everybody to come and see what we have going on. And I mean, the Agra Living Institute, I mean, the why is the really important part of why we started this business. And that is to grow more food locally in Bermuda. I mean, the crux of the situation is 80% of our food is imported. The large amount of the cost of imported food is shipping and logistics. So a very clear thinking is that if we can grow more food locally, that's going to decrease the cost of the food, and then it's going to make it much more accessible to our Bermuda families who are suffering mentally, physically, because they don't have access to whole, fresh food. This is the biggest problem in Bermuda. If you ask me, talk about cost of living. One of the most, even more important than having a roof over your head, is having enough food to live a active life.
I don't want you to answer everything in one, right? Just
sorry.
We got lots of questions.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I love that you talked about that, because like a couple of years ago, my Nana said to me, we need to start growing our own food because pretty soon there's going to be no food. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But now I'm like, maybe we should be growing our own food. So in 2021, why is sustainable living so important?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 answers to that. There's the individual level, and then, what our individual choices are collectively making, as an effect on the planet, basically. So individually, you talk about sustainable living. I'm focusing on growing your own food. There's lots of facets to living more sustainably. But simply growing your own food is obviously super important. The nutrition that you're going to get from food grown at home is much greater than what you're getting at the grocery store. The USDA has lots of statistics showing over the last 50 years. I think they've been doing this study. They test the nutrition levels of all foodstuffs that you get at the grocery, produce and
Right.
stuff. And they've shown how nutrition has decreased year after year in that. So what does that mean for our health? If we're not getting the right nutrients, that's leading to chronic diseases that we're causing. Growing your own food at home has huge mental health benefits, and we are just starting to experience a wave of mental health illness that's coming from COVID-19, stress, anxiety, depression, loneliness. Believe it or not, the garden can be a healing place for these things. Being in the garden, getting soil under your fingernails, there's been studies on that as well, releases serotonin, which is an antidepressant. I mean, that is just showing us very clearly that we humans are meant to be connected in some way to the land.
Right.
And also is the relief on your pocketbook. So more food that you can grow at home, the
less you spend.
The less you spend, yeah. And we were talking about cost of living. That's the quickest, most sustainable way you can reduce your weekly budget.
Absolutely. So someone who has no idea about this, so like I don't grow my own food. My mom does have a garden, and so that's where I get my kale and stuff. Shout out to my mom. But so for someone who has no clue how to even start, what do you say? What's your advice?
Oh, I would tell them to sign up for a workshop. We have a workshop series starting in the fall. In September, we'll be starting our intro workshops. And like I said, that's giving you a solid foundation to be able to start growing your own food at home. So with the workshops, we do a presentation about our sustainable farming method, which is called Grow Biointensive, that I have teacher training in. And the presentation, and then we go in the garden and we practice hands-on techniques, growing seedlings, how to prepare the soil for planting, building compost piles, which is a very important part of sustainably growing your own food, and also how to transplant into the bed, which seems like a very basic thing, but if you're not doing it right, you're causing stress on plants. Stress plants have problems, just like humans. And then, if you don't want to invest in a workshop, we also have our free how-to videos on our website, on YouTube, on our Facebook page, and Instagram as well. Those are very basic, how to get a garden started, short, accessible videos. So anybody that just wants to test the water with their toes, you can definitely just check out our videos and get started in that way. You talked about your mother being able to grow food. I mean, I think that's a great opportunity for people to connect again with their families and friends. As in our community, there are individuals that have this knowledge and skill set. So if we can kind of organically, naturally create relationships, there's opportunity to connect with other people. But obviously for us, we want people to get a solid foundation with this sustainable agriculture, Grow Biointensive. You have this foundation, and because it's a skill-based method, year after year, your skills get better, your soil quality gets better, you get more food out of your garden.
No, that's fantastic. Like, it kind of started with my papa. He's the one who kind of started gardening and growing, and then my mom, I guess, started doing it with him, which was like really cool. So like, she'll have my kids in the garden with her, which is a lot of fun for them. So I wanted to ask you, in Bermuda, I know right now it's like super hot. Are there certain plants or vegetables that grow better certain times of year? Like, what can we get in Bermuda? Like, what can I grow?
Oh, yeah. So I love that question. And yeah, it is a challenge in Bermuda to grow in the summer. And probably the biggest challenge is that the rain you don't get as much rain as the rest of the year. But, if you have water in your house, then you are able to grow food. So like Jamal was saying earlier, stop wasting so much water taking a shower. You can be growing food with it, right? So summertime, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, okra is a really heat-loving plant. Very popular in Bermuda has been callaloo, which is also known as Jamaican spinach. That comes from an amaranth family, and they're a very heat-loving green. So people might miss their greens in the summertime because things are seasonal.
Right.
Spinach, lettuce, arugula do not grow in the heat. We go to the grocery store and we buy it imported, but we need to start thinking about seasonality. Seasonality connects us to growing food locally.
Yes.
What greens can we grow in Bermuda in the summer? So amaranth is really good. And also Malabar spinach, which is very uncommon in Bermuda, but is a very prolific plant in the summertime as well. All the squashes, so watermelons and pumpkin, zucchini, all the squashes work in the summertime.
What was that spinach you said just now? Malabar?
Malabar, yeah. It's a vine.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard of that. Okay, I'm learning. When you like this second time you've been on, and I listen and I do a lot of Googling when people talk, so don't mind me. It's a lot to take in. Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
So we're spoiled for choice, basically.
Yeah, I mean, but what we teach in our workshops is that the summertime is actually a time to back off from actively being in the garden, because in Bermuda we're blessed with a 12-month growing season. But what is it going to mean to the grower, to the gardener, to the farmer if you're working, flat out 12 months out of the year? You're going to get burnt out. So what we normally tell people is to plant cover crops during the summertime, immature cover crops. So that can be cowpea is very common in Bermuda. So these are plants that you're planting not to eat, but to grow soil life, to protect the soil,
Right.
to grow biomass, to compost. If you want, we can go into cover crops, but I didn't want to go into that because it's a bit technical. But
yeah,
so
that's
what I mean.
A little above my level.
Yeah. But what we can do right now in July, you can grow a few things, but it's really about preparing yourself for September, which is the beginning of the growing season in Bermuda. The nighttime temperature starts to decrease and the rain comes back. So it's a good time to start seedlings, stuff like kale, broccoli. It takes 6 weeks from seed to seedling that you put in the ground. So if we can start those seedlings in August, then, September when the weather cools, it's good for putting them in. So, I mean, summertime, like I say, if you've been working 8 months in the garden, growing a lot of food, you really want to back off, hang out in the shade, go for a swim.
Yeah,
that's what we do in our garden. Is we just try to do as minimal as possible in the summertime so that we can conserve our energy for the rest of the year. But
makes so much sense. Nice. So I just want to switch gears quickly. Vertical farming is something that I've been hearing about in the past couple years. Is that something that would work for Bermuda? Why not?
Yeah, I don't have much experience with vertical farming. I mean, I have researched into it and I have lots of conversations with people because every presentation I do, somebody asks me about it. Vertical farming, the biggest challenge limit is the cost of the infrastructure to set up vertical farming. It's not just investing in a greenhouse, is the stuff that goes inside the greenhouse. It's all mechanized. Mechanization means energy. Energy costs a lot of money. Using energy, a large amount of, here we're using fossil fuels for energy. So that's the opposite of sustainable. And in the end, you're only giving using vertical farming to grow food commercially, we're only giving a few people jobs. Where with our sustainable method, it's skill-based, it's powered by human power, if you will, not by fossil fuels, which for a lot of people sounds like hard work or backwards. But, we do it in a very efficient way. And because of our high yields and growing soil fertility, you can get 6 times the amount of yield compared with conventional methods from the same area of land. So, we don't need to go dig up a whole acre. We can do it in 1/6 of an acre, basically.
Right.
Think about it that way. And with our sustainable methods, our mission is to train hundreds of people in the method in the next 5 years and connecting these people to the 209 football fields worth of unused agriculture reserve in Bermuda. So that's going to allow for, very conservatively hundreds of jobs. And these people are going to be able to grow all their own food for them and their family and be able to grow an income. So I think it's a much bigger buy-in, or it's going to have much more social impact than vertical farming. Vertical farming, is a big investment, like I say. And then in the end, you're only able to grow a very limited amount of crops. It's only stuff that can grow hydroponically. So tomatoes, cucumbers, greens.
Right. So it's not the big fuss that people say it is then. Good to know.
No, and I mean, I'm gonna just toot my horn a little bit because I'm all about connecting with the land. Vertical farming is not connecting with the land, and it's unfortunately this trend that we have as humans to continually rely solely on technology to do things for us, like grow food. And over the last 100 years, we've seen what using technology to grow food has done. It's damaging and depleting soil, and it's disconnected us from Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So, how can we connect ourselves again and using this method in an empowering way? So agriculture 100 years ago, we would have been connected to the earth, but people were being exploited, being paid peanuts, being forced to work more than 60 hours a week, and all the money going to one little group of people. We are creating a method that the wealth is spread to the farmers. And we want to, we want food disruption in Bermuda. We want mindset change in Bermuda. We want to see people, instead of just going to the grocery stores are awesome for going to get all your food, but we want to create a culture where, several times a week. You go and you actually go to a local farmer's market that could be in your neighborhood, in your parish, and connect directly with the farmer. And the farmer is directly getting the money for the produce. That makes the produce a lot cheaper. People sometimes I see comments about the price of local produce being high. If you buy it at the grocery store, it's going to be high because the grocery stores put their markup on it, basically, you know.
Right.
But I definitely encourage people to go to the farmers market at the botanical gardens, and on Saturday morning, unfortunately, you can't sleep in. Get up at 6, 7 in the morning.
That's one day, man. Come on.
I know. Tell me about it. I like to sleep in too. But you know, all the farmer stalls and farmers markets, they're on Saturday mornings, and there's so many across the island. You know, I try to visit all of them to connect with the farmers and to support them, because there's very little support other than the customers that they have. So, you know, if anything, I'm talking about a new way of doing things, farming, agriculture in Bermuda, but there's already a tradition. There's already farmers working hard out there. So we just as much need to support them as well.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So really quickly, just want to go to the audience. Rashida Godwin saying a great business and something we need. I enjoyed when we shared about Dr. Paulu Camarafego, who we don't know much about, unfortunately. Keep up the great work, Chris. We have Michelle White. She's asking a question. How can you what can you say to me to convince my black thumb to change to a green thumb? She goes on to say, I can kill a cactus.
Oh man. You know, I always say, like, for people that are brand new getting into it and maybe have had bad experiences with plants in the past, you know, getting into really simple things like growing herbs in pots, you know, is a great way to kind of build the confidence again. Obviously, come to our workshops, check out our videos. The more you learn, put into practice, succeed, you know, is this this chain of confidence, basically. And confidence is something I bring up a lot in our education program, meaning, you know, and that's why a lot of people either don't get involved in it or they back off because they've had trouble in the past. And yeah, it's really just trying it out and succeeding. And cactus are easy to kill, especially if you're giving them too much love. You know, cactus like to dry out. So if you're going there every day looking at your cactus and going, oh, I'm going to give it some water, you know, it's going to get rot out. So you got the right, the mission there to give lots of love to your plants, so we can just try putting them on some herbs and step up from there. Yeah.
I think we're in a time right now where our lives have changed so much over the last 18 months. That being said, you know, some people have less time. And I'm going to say teachers as an example, because teaching from home, I mean, I can only imagine how much more they have to do. But then there are people who might have a bit more time. For those who might have a bit more time, what's the easiest way that you can tell them to get started? Like, what's the most cost-effective way? Because a layman may be watching this and saying, man, I really want to do that, but I don't have the time and I can't afford it.
Right. So that's really good, Jamal. Thank you for asking, because I definitely want to plug that Grow Bio Intensive is we just talked about vertical farming being costing a lot of money to start up. Grow Bio Intensive takes very little. You just need to get the right hand tools. So for us, it's a digging fork and a spade, a planting trowel, and you pretty much can get started. It's what you do with the tools that really make the difference. Like I say, being skill-based. So, I mean, and then for me, when people are getting started, I also stress not trying to start too big. So you're saying somebody that has a lot of time and all that, they might go out and want to start, you know, 600-foot growing area that they see on YouTube, you know. But if you try to do that when you don't have any experience, you're going to have some failures. And then again, you're going to just quit because you're saying it's not working. I don't know what I'm doing. So I would, you know, strongly recommend people just starting with a 3x3 little garden. It is very manageable, you know, to dig, to grow the seedlings for, and then to weed and do all the other maintenance things for the plants. And then, you know, if you do a 3x3 for one season and succeed, you know, you can say, hey, I can do this. I could do this, and you can then scale up basically from there is the key for succeeding in the garden. So you can go from this little plot to a 5x10 bed, and then up to 100 square feet. And 100 square feet is kind of the size beds that we do in our grow biointensive method, and then you add a bed year after year or season after season depending on your time limit. So I mean, somebody who has the time, and you definitely take on grow biointensive being a skill-based method. So year after year, your skills increase and you're able to grow more food. I mean, you're able, and then it's about growing your own food. We also teach about growing grains and high calorie crops, which people don't even think about when growing food, but it has lots and lots of benefits for you in terms of nutrition, but also for the fertility of the soil, what the grain crops and carbon crops, we call them, do for the soil is incredible and is much needed part of crop rotation in the garden. And we could argue is what's missing in crop rotations in Bermuda, because we solely focus on growing market vegetables.
All right, Chris, another awesome conversation. Just let people know how they can get in contact with you to learn more.
So I definitely encourage anybody who wants to take a workshop on our website, which is agraliving.com, .org, sorry, agraliving.org. So that's agraliving.org. And if you scroll right to the bottom of the homepage, there's a little catcher and you can put your name and email in there, and we'll add you to our email list. We are planning the fall series right now, and the dates are going to be announced in the next few weeks. And we are very active on Instagram and Facebook. So both of those, if you just put the Agra Living Institute, you're going to find us. Instagram handle is agra_living. And yeah, and if you want to send me an email, it's agraliving@gmail.com. And I look forward to connecting with more and more people as we move forward.
All right, Chris, as always, a pleasure to have you on. I'm got my stuff up to Google after this here to see what kind of things. I'm in South Florida, so it's great for growing your own food.
Very connected seasonality. Yeah, you just get more.
Absolutely. So appreciate you as always. And the door is always open when you got something coming up. I definitely want to have you back when growing season comes in, because I think especially at that point, people understanding what they can possibly do in their own backyards. And so Michaela doesn't have to raid her mother. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But
it's a shared garden.
Shared garden.
I don't do anything.
There you go. But Chris, thank you so much, and all the best this summer, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Enjoy your day.
You
Thanks,
too.
Chris.
Right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
All righty. Thanks again to Chris. Great work he's doing out there. Esther Kate Harvey actually says they need to bring back the vegetable cart trucks that went around the neighborhoods back in the day. Not to age myself, but I remember an ice cream truck. I'm not quite sure I remember the vegetable truck. How far back?
No, I don't remember a vegetable truck. I remember the little vegetable cart.
Right, I remember the vegetable cart.
In Wellington.
Yeah, but we went to
have
them.
been revitalized.
Yeah, but
we went to them.
Yeah, they did. So that's a good concept, though, having a vegetable cart that goes around like an ice cream truck. If that ever existed, wow. I mean, well, obviously, she's saying it. Since that existed, I'd love to see if it's something someone would be interested in getting into now. We're going to take a quick break. Folks, if you get the answer before Michaela, if one person gets the answer before Michaela, you're going to get a prize. So do not go anywhere. We have a very fun daily play. Of course, Michaela's going to give you the great daily inspiration to set you off on a great day. And then we'll talk about what's coming up tomorrow and next week. All right. So do not go anywhere. Stick with us. If you enjoyed that conversation with Chris, very helpful and educational, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, and just show some appreciation to Chris. Reach out, see how he can help you. What is it called? A green thumb? Get a green thumb too.
Get a green thumb. Yes.
All right. We'll be back with our black thumbs.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio. Tune in every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams. Only on your station for conversations and entertainment, BCG Radio. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices.
All right, welcome back. She's McKelly and I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour. Thanks again to Medical's, Lindo's, One Communications, Channel 82, everyone who continues to support what we're doing. Don't forget, if you haven't already, download the BCG Radio app. You can also tune into this show and many other great shows. And Juggling Jason is returning next week, so you'll be able to hear Juggling Jason. Is it called? Do they still say the ones and twos on the ones and twos? Do they? I mean,
I don't know. I think no.
Okay, they probably don't say ones and twos anymore. But Juggling Jason will be back Mondays and Fridays starting next week, 12 to 3 on BCG Radio. So make sure you don't want to let him help you get through your workday. So the Daily Play today.
Let's go.
Here we go. The Daily Play brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Don't forget, great taste and no alcohol. Here we go. Today it is a geography question.
Mm-hmm.
The capital of this African nation was named after the 5th president of the United States, James Monroe. What country is it?
Liberia.
Wow.
You don't know me.
Wow. Wow.
You saw I had to stop for a second though, right? I had to be like, wait a second.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, Kale's got that one. Yeah.
You got another one? You got another one for me?
You know what? Hold on. Like I need.
Listen, and you know why I know that? So I follow 2 women on Instagram. One is like a business coach, the other's like an influencer, and they're both first generation American Liberians. And then that's Maddie James and my alias. And then I follow Arshelle Bernard, who's been here before. She's friends with Kristen White, and she has a business called Bombshell, and everything's made in Liberia as well. And then, of course, isn't your lovely wife half Liberian?
Yeah, she's out there in the comments, and yeah.
See?
I thought I had you.
I know things.
No, you absolutely do. Folks, I think you all should be in the audience giving her a round of applause on that one too.
Did anyone get it?
Nobody. Nobody. Yeah. Charles is quoting me. You got another one. Well, Charles, I mean, I don't think she's gotten one wrong as far as geography goes. And the only time I've really been able to stump her was once with the history, which was the Urquhart match, and not once, but every now and then with the music. But
yes,
phenomenal. So
I try.
Yeah, give us some love.
Multifaceted.
Absolutely, I'm impressed. What's your final thoughts on today's show, Kils?
My thing on the shorter work week things, I think that employers need to really embrace that what we thought of the traditional work week is dying, right? Especially with a lot of work from home. I don't see work from home really going anywhere anytime soon in, totality. So I would just love to see people embrace that. And as regards to Chris, like, I'm a big fan of the farmers markets. Like, I get my produce from Windy Bank every week, and it's just so much better. So if we can do our part so that we can be more sustainable in that regard, then absolutely.
Indeed. Both conversations from the discussion about a shorter work week. I think whatever's in the best interest of basically everything, and employee, employer, and economy, I think it should be looked at to make it, a bit better. I mean, we always have to be evolving to make things better for everyone involved. So I think it's definitely something Bermudian businesses and companies should be looking at without government involvement. As far as Chris, another great conversation. The way the world's heading, we need to know. I think it was Killer Mike. We need to know how to grow our own food and feed ourselves. So these are important conversations. So hit him up, get involved. Kales, any daily inspiration before we head out?
I sure do. All right, ready?
Yep.
This is from Goldie Hawn, the actress. We have to embrace obstacles to reach the next stage of joy.
Yeah. Honestly, when you reach that stage of joy after going through and getting over those obstacles,
Yeah,
it feels so much sweeter.
absolutely. And there's no shortcut. Just got to
No
do it.
shortcut. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House One Communications and Linda's, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. If you haven't already, folks, please be sure to follow and like us on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Michaela Ann. I'm Jamal Hartman. My friends, make it a great day. Peace.